going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Jersey Joe Show. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, and this is the place where we talk about a little bit of everything, but you guys know, it's mostly hockey. And today I'm talking about the Ottawa Senators. This is another part of my 31 and 31 series, and this is, just like Nashville, a seemingly very interesting team to talk about for a number of reasons. And when I say interesting, what I mean is that they defied all expectations last year, a lot like Nashville did. They were average across the board. They were, I guess, expected to make the playoffs, but nothing more than a wild card spot, and they actually had 98 points and finished second in the Atlantic Division, which was way beyond expectations, let alone making it to the Eastern Conference Finals to face off against Pittsburgh. So, what actually happened in that series is nothing short of incredible. If you don't remember, they took the Pittsburgh Penguins to Game 7 in a double overtime bout, and eventually the Penguins ended up winning, going to the Stanley Cup Final and beating Nashville. That was the hardest fought series the Penguins have had in the 2 years that they've won those cups. No other team has taken them to overtime in Game 7, let alone double overtime. And it was looking like, the Senators could have easily beaten the Penguins and gone on to the final. They just needed one more goal. And no other team has done that. And they were an average team, so it makes it even more incredible. So going into next season, there's a lot of things that are different. Not so much that things have happened, but things have changed. The biggest question mark right now is going to be Erik Karlsson coming into next season. He was easily the best defender in the NHL. Not only in the playoffs, but let alone the whole season, he was fantastic. He was just levels and levels of beyond any other player in the playoffs, and we all knew that from day one, that he's a fantastic player, and the Senators live or die by how well Karlsson plays. And he's had issues with his foot since round 1. He's had issues with his tendons, and he had to get reconstructive surgery on the tendons in his left foot this offseason. So coming back, if he's at full form, then the Senators look to be doing okay. But if he's dropped off a little bit, we're going to have a bit of an issue in terms of how well they play next season as a team entirely. I mean, he's even more important to the team than I think Sidney Crosby is to the Penguins, just because he's a defender. Their entire defense, their entire system relies entirely on Karlsson being healthy. And if he's not playing 100%, the team is not playing 100%, and there's no way you're going to be able to rectify that. And going into what happened in the offseason, so we have a couple of big additions by them. They did get Nate Thompson and Johnny Odyua, who are going to solidify that team a little bit more, make them a little bit more of a well-rounded team. But the biggest issue for me right now is that they lost Mark Methot. He was picked up by Vegas and then subsequently traded to Dallas this offseason. And he was Karlsson's partner for the entirety of the season and the playoffs. And he was that stay-at-home defender for Karlsson. He was the safety valve, as NHL.com called it, for Karlsson. He was there to fix any mistakes that Karlsson made, so Karlsson can be a little bit riskier. He can forecheck. He can pinch a little bit more, and end up causing an offensive turnover and scoring or what have you. He was always there to back up Karlsson, and then you lose that for nothing in the expansion draft, and then he gets traded to Dallas. It's a bit of a questionable decision, so I don't know how well they're going to play next year. And another storyline that's going to be happening next year is that of Craig Anderson. So those who don't know, last year Craig Anderson's wife was going through cancer treatments. Thankfully, it seems to be in remission now. Now all seems to be okay. But he had to take considerable time off to take care of her. But when he came back, the entire team would just galvanize around him and kind of have this sense of purpose and this sense of camaraderie and motivation to play harder than they've ever played before, specifically for Craig Anderson. And then Brian Murray, who was also facing some cancer issues, passed away this offseason. So they had this enveloping sense of something greater than themselves that brought them together and brought them closer as a team. And you were able to see that on display these past playoffs. They were such a system-based team, but they played almost perfect hockey. They kept the puck out of that net. They were not the flashiest team, but they got the job done, and they brought the Penguins to Game 7, which no other team did, and then they brought them to double overtime. So without that galvanizing presence next season, and then you don't have Mark Methot, Karlsson's coming back from surgery. They have a lot more expectation than they're back now. That they got one goal away from the Stanley Cup Finals compared to missing the playoffs the year before. There's a lot of questions surrounding this team. Now Nashville, on the other hand, they were pretty much underneath expectations the entire season because they were thought to be contenders from day one. And then eventually they slid into the playoffs, and then the rest is history. They came within, 2 games of the Stanley Cup? The Senators didn't have that. They were above expectations almost the entire season, including the playoffs. No one expected them to be that far along. And so going into next season, you're wondering, was that just an up year for the team, whereas it was a down year for the Predators? Are both teams just this good, even though they were metrically across the board average? We don't know what next season is going to look like. I think if you have a healthy Karlsson, if Anderson plays well, if Odyua and all their offseason acquisitions pan out, they'll have about 90-95 points. They'll slide in on a wild card and probably get to round 2. But I'd love to see them make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a fantastic team to watch. I love Karlsson. I love Anderson. I really am pulling for them to do well next year. And so we will see. They're going to be one of the more fun teams to watch in the East. I'm excited to see how Colin White does for them next season as well. And we'll just have to see if they pan out to the expectations that were laid for them. We won't know, but that's what makes the season so exciting. So again, thanks for watching, guys. This is my 31 and 31 series, and I'll have another video for you guys tomorrow.